Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Yachtapalooza 2021. My name is Bill Tate, or Tater, and I'm here to present as a moderator to Dave Rearick. He is hosted by Yachtapalooza, Crowley's Yacht Yard, and 11th Hour Racing. Dave will explore the work that 11th Hour Racing does to promote sustainability efforts around the world. 11th Hour Racing works with the sailing community and the maritime industries to advance solutions and practices that protect and restore the health of our oceans. The presentation will include a video of the 11th Hour Ocean Rates entry, the old Hugo Boss, along with inside news of the new boat. We'll start with a little housekeeping. All of today's seminars will be presented before a live audience and broadcast via Zoom. For those attending, please wear your mask and maintain a safe social distance. We will be recording all seminars today and we'll post them in Crowley's Yacht Yard YouTube channel later this week. Please hold all your questions till the end. We will try and look at the chat or anything else to be able to answer those questions in a timely fashion. And for those attending, I will be repeating all the questions. So let me introduce Dave. Dave Rearick is an ambassador for the 11th Hour Racing Program. He is a lifetime sailor and author of Spirit of a Dream, a sailor's ultimate journey around the world. In 2014, he completed a solo circumnavigation aboard Bodacious Dream, a Class 40 sailboat. Dave has been sailing and racing the Great Lakes and coastal waters since his childhood. He has won many events and held records, including single-handed Mackinac race from Chicago to Mackinac Island, as well as the solo Super Mac, a single-handed race from Port Huron, Michigan to Chicago, 600 miles. Time to turn it over to Dave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. What a year it's been, right? So hopefully Yachtapalooza 2021 is the first lull in the heavy winds of last year's storms and giving us the first indications that the storm's going to pass and we're going to get into calmer waters here coming into 2021 and beyond. But so today I'm going to talk about 11th Hour Racing, who we are and what we do, big and small, both locally and internationally. But first, I'd like to introduce myself. There we go. So my name again is Dave Rearick, for those of you that don't know me. I'm a local boy, born in Indiana, raised in Indiana, and learned to sail on the southern shores of Lake Michigan. My first sail was on a sunfish owned by the Tittle family, and my good friend Pam Tittle invited me to go sailing when I was about 12 years old. I, of course, had to go ask my mother, and my mom said yes, and which surprised me a little bit. But we got on the boat and we went sailing, and when that first gust of wind lifted the boat, put us on a heel, and I had to scramble to the higher edge, I realized I had my first taste of self-induced adrenaline, and that was that. I was hooked on sailing and hooked on the passion of sailing. From there, I continued racing sunfish and lasers and Hobie cats, and then into big boats. And over the past 50 years, I learned that what I saw in the sailing is, the wake I left behind the boat folded over itself and disappeared. And the footsteps I left in the sand when I pulled the sunfish up quickly were washed over by the waves. And the tracks from pulling the sunfish up above high water mark was quickly dispensed by the wind and the rain. And that told me and taught me that there's much beyond the passion of and joy of sailing, that there's a responsibility to be true to the essence of the experience, to leave the playground the way we found it and improve it for the generations that are come to follow. So that's become something very important to me in my life. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about 11th Hour Racing now. So 11th Hour Racing is an organization that was set up about 7 or 8 years ago by a group of people. The main founder is a group of Wendy Schmidt, Some of you may recognize that last name Schmidt as a Schmidt Family Foundation. Her life partner, Eric Schmidt, was the executive chairman of Google, along with her boat captain, Jeremy, and another gentleman, Rob. They formed 11th Hour Racing in an effort to put forward an effort to push sustainability, environmental awareness, and improve our playground amongst us sailors. That's a broad stroke. We do so many different things and so many different and hit so many different corners of the world. And the Schmidt Family Foundation is pretty extensive. They have got the Falcor, which is an ocean research vessel. They got the Ocean Institute and a number of other entities that they do as well to worry about ocean health. But this is primarily 11th Hour Racing is primarily focused on the sailing sport. So my involvement came after I had raced Bodacious Stream, which is a Class 40, and I raced it in the U.S. at the Atlantic Cup, and then internationally over in France and Europe, and then ultimately sailed around the world. 11th Hour Racing invited me to be an ambassador and to join a small group of interesting and unique people in the sailing sport. Here you'll see a group of 11 of us. I think there might be a few more than that now, but you'll see that I'm kind of the guy with the gray hair in there. But there are Olympic sailors in here, board kite sailors, international moth sailors, just great people, all with a passion for sailing and all that understand sort of that essence and responsibility of promoting a better environment for all of our sailors. One of the very, very unique and special things about 11th Hour Racing and us ambassadors is 11th Hour Racing gave us a chance to pick a nonprofit organization that we wanted to sponsor as a grantee and to commit to them a grant from 11th Hour Racing to help them with their programs. And through that, we've done quite a few different things. Here's just a small list of some of them. We go after microplastics around the world. We have a shrink wrap recycling program, fiberglass boat recycling. We're trying to figure out what to do with these old fiberglass boats that left in Crowley's yard. There's also some other things, but the Mariposa upcycle sales down in the Dominican Republic is pretty amazing in that they take a lot of the old sails that us racers use up, and then they teach young girls how to sew on sewing machines and to make bags and little interesting things with the things, and they sell them to raise funds that then go to help build the school system for the kids. There's also another thing called the Nurdle Patrol, and I don't know if you guys know what nurdles are or not, but nurdles are those little plastic beads that begin the cycle of injection plastic. So they're small, probably about half the size of a pencil eraser, and they often end up in our waterways through waste disposal, flush down drains, flush down stormwater drains, and you find them all around the world. And I've actually found quite a few on the shores of Lake Michigan. When I was a kid, we always thought that they were cartilage left over from dead fish, or some of us thought they were fish eyes, but they're little hard plastic beads. And you can find them up near the grass and the softer sand on a nice sunny day. They kind of sit on top of the sand as the sand blows past them. But, so those are some of the grantee programs that we do. Now, my particular grantee program here locally is the Chicago Maritime Arts Center. You'll find they've got a booth over here in the tent area. And when you get done with this seminar, I'd like you to go over there and pull out your checkbook and write the largest check you can and add $100 to it and give it to them. They're a great group of people. What we do is really pretty amazing. It's based on building a small rowing skiff called a Bevan skiff. And we go to the inner communities around the city. It's not just specifically for inner communities and underserved neighborhoods. We have a lot of other neighborhoods as well, but we bring the kids in, and over the course of a period of time, 2 weeks, some cases, sometimes a little longer, they build this boat, they paint it, they put a name on it, and then we launch it and we teach them how to row on the water. And you can imagine for a lot of these underserved kids some are youth at risk, some come from really harsh neighborhoods. And this is quite an exposure for them and quite an opportunity for them to get out into the water, which is really a foreign world for them. The other unexpected benefit to this program is we're finding out that the mentors that join these students, the counselors, the coaches, the mentors that bring these students to our programs, they themselves are not really aware of the waterfront and the opportunities that exist for young kids to get involved in the waterfront in boating and sailing. And you can imagine how hard it is to be in these difficult communities trying to mentor young kids and help them get beyond the restrictions of their neighborhood when you yourself don't even know what's beyond that. So we're really hitting this from two prongs. We get the kids in the water, but at the same time, the adults that are mentoring the kids now know more about it and can advance it to the next round of kids. It's really a great program. It's called the Chicago Maritime Arts Center, and I'm the sponsor from 11th Hour Racing from them. We've helped them out for the last 2 or 3 years and continue to do so. One of the other interesting and impressive programs that we do with 11th Hour Racing is manage sustainable regattas. So we work real hard to convince people or regatta managers that they can run a responsible, sustainable regatta. As you all know, that we're big proponents of not using disposable water bottles. And that's always the first step in the whole program, is to limit the disposable water bottles on a regatta. And most regattas nowadays limit them, don't allow for them to be a part of the program. But then we also work hard to show them how to use trash and recycle their trash, how to manage their water usage if you're in a saltwater area where fresh water is scarce. There's a whole lot of different things. So one of the really big thing, there's 3 things I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to tell you a lot more about the ocean race here in a second, but the Super Series, the 52 Super Series, racing the TP52s, the program goes to various different harbors in some of the most unique and interesting areas around the world. And this program with the Super Series, they do all sorts of things. Every harbor that they come into, they establish a beach cleanup area. They establish recycling programs and work very, very hard to put on a very sustainable, environmental friendly regatta, and then leave in their wake a presence and also an example that other people can follow continuing on in these communities. There's one boat here, Team Provenza, were the greenest boat in the regatta in 2019. They lost their mast and recovered it to make sure they didn't lose it. And this is a video I'm going to let play here.
We've just arrived in Port Towels. The 52 Super Series racing is finished for the day, and we're here to collect their leftover food. We've got the van from Association Tardor, which is the soup kitchen that's going to use all the food. It's all fresh food left over from the crew's lunches and the support team's lunch. Once we've collected it, it's just going to go straight into the van, and it'll all get eaten this evening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's brilliant. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. We've just completed a sweep of all the containers of all the teams in the TP52 series. As yesterday, they've all been very generous with their leftovers. There's plenty of food, which we've now collected into the Tardor van. That's going straight down to the restaurant in Palma, where hopefully there should be enough to feed between 20 and 30 people this evening. So all of that food will be eaten this evening, thanks to all the crews who've supported us and to all of you.
So the next important regatta that we work with in sustainability is the Atlantic Cup Regatta. This is where I first got involved or became aware of 11th Hour Racing when I was competing with Bodacious Stream. We had the Class 40 Bodacious Stream. We had it built in New Zealand and brought it back. And the first regatta we entered was the Atlantic Cup, which is a regatta that runs from Charleston, South Carolina, on up the coast to Newport, and then on up from there to Portland, Maine. And we had a great experience with it all. But in there, we learned that the I'm sorry, a little distracted because some technical stuff, but we learned about the sustainability, and the Atlantic Cup puts on one of the most sustainable regattas worldwide. As a matter of fact, they were the first regatta to reach the ISO 2000 sustainability. I myself got involved with doing the kids education program, and I've got a video here coming up in a second that I hope we can play and have some sound on. But I run the kids education program. I'm the coordinator for that, and we come into the school systems and we meet the kids in the classroom. We talk to them about the environment, about how to be a better steward of the environment, about recycling and about waste, and it's really interesting and really fun. The kids are quite involved in that, and they're actually more interested in it than even some of the adults are. So I'm going to try the video here.
Kids Day here at the Atlantic Cup down in Charleston, South Carolina. Basically, we have a pretty robust kids program that we run in conjunction with the race.
Strawberries, blueberries, cherries. My name's Dave Rearick, and casually known as Captain Dave, and in charge of helping educate the kids about some of the world around them.
We've got over 500 kids coming down to the marina today to visit the boats and talk to the sailors and run through our curriculum. It's a beautiful day down here, and we're looking forward to it.
Welcome to Atlantic Cup Kids Day, everybody. We're really excited to have you here. We're going to break you all into different groups. All right, we're going to get started.
The most fun station are the boats. They get to visit the boats.
I enjoy Kids Day. The kids come down, they get to see the boats, they get to see what we do. You want to see the inside or the outside?
Inside.
Yeah, everybody wants to see the inside. And we get to teach them a few things about how to make the world a little bit better and keep the oceans clean and stuff. So yeah, it's a good fun day for me.
It's pretty amazing to be able to expose them to this, and even just with 5 minutes with them, they're learning that knots are important.
Thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, we're ready.
Here we go.
Come on, Lydia. Okay, and hold that.
There you go. All right.
10,000. That's how much those boats weigh. How do you think 10,000 pounds can float?
We also have a station where we let the kids with Play-Doh, they form it out into a displacement hole and it floats.
Ew! What is that?
We get to introduce kids to the water and the marine environment and the marine life that we experience that might not otherwise get to enjoy that.
Did anybody figure out what those things are?
So, if you look at this map, you'll see that the sailor's route crosses over with the whale's migration.
There you go, that's a figure eight. And we have a station on what makes things work in a boat, whether it's winches, levers, ropes, tying knots.
Come up through there.
You guys did great, huh?
Looks like that. All right, you win. I give up. What are some of the things that you can recycle? Water bottles.
Our main initiative is to eliminate the use of water bottles, disposable water bottles.
Some of you have single-use plastic bottles that you're going to toss after you use them, and some of you guys have one of these, a reusable bottle.
We're trying to get the entire event to use one-use bottles.
Also allowed to talk about the different types of alternative energy the boats use and stuff like that. So a little bit of fun interactive stuff to let kids learn about the water, boats, the ocean. Try to get them interested in the environment around them.
Teach kids about sailing, the environment, get them interested in sailing and the sport.
At least when you're recycling, we're getting something back out of it.
It fits me. We got to make sure we get to them early and hopefully teach them something about the water and boats, enjoying the ocean, and also looking after it.
Have a great time today, everybody.
We're going to have a great time.
Good.
And then we're going to break into groups and have some fun. Okay?
Thank you.
We'd like to bring something back to the community, and having the kids program involved is great. It's a very important part of the Atlantic Cup.
So anyways, the Atlantic Cup is really a special event for me. We won it in 2013, just before I took off and sailed single-handed around the world. But since then, I think we've created an opportunity to reach out to something like 5,000 children in Portland, New York City, Charleston, South Carolina, and help them all learn a little bit about the environment. So the next big ocean race, which is what 11th Hour Racing is, that's our really big focus at not at the moment, like we only have one focus because we do an awful lot of small focus constantly, but the ocean race is the successor to the Volvo Ocean Race, the round the world race that was originally started out as the Whitbread race. And 11th Hour Racing has had our two team members, Charlie Enright and Mark Tohill, who you might recognize Charlie's name from his effort with Morning Glory with Walt Disney's Boat in the Transpac that became a movie earlier in his life. But through them, they've been in the last two Volvo Ocean races. And this ocean race, 11th Hour Racing is a title sponsor of their boat. So the race makes a trip all the way around the world. You can see the route there. They start in Spain, work down underneath Cape Town, South Africa, then up to China, then down to Oceania and Auckland, and then around Cape Horn up to Brazil, and back to Newport here in the U.S., which is our home base for 11th Hour Racing, and then back over to Europe, and they end in Genoa as the finish of the race. We race with the new race is on Iomoka foiling 60s, which are pretty much the boat that's used in the Vendée Globe single-handed around the world race. Obviously, these boats are being adapted slightly for the ocean race. They'll have a much shorter crew. I think it's 6 people on board, and racing around the world. Now, here's another video that we're going to play, give you an idea of what's going on with the team and all. This one's about 5 or 6 minutes long, and if I can get the cursor to go, here we go. So hopefully you can hear all this. It's kind of a great video.
Just feeling grateful to be able to go sailing right now. With everything that's happening in the world, and to have the boat back in the water with the new foil and the big upgrade is just an incredible feeling.
We have the makings of a final group together for the first time. Feels great to get back on the boat and get offshore and get back into the swing of things.
I'm pretty happy to be on our way. Mostly just trying out this new foil, seeing how far we can push it and what we can do with it. Little pocket rocket.
It's a wild beast. It's going to take a while to tame. Down below you feel like you're in a torch chamber, but on deck it feels slightly better than that.
Really, really jarring. It just feels like you're getting jackhammered.
It's pretty wild.
Can't sleep. staying productive.
Just trying to spot as many shooting stars as we can.
Instead of using single-use plastic bags, we can use these stasher bags to store our snacks, our food, whatever we need. And then when we leave the boat, we can reuse them for the next leg.
You know, we're lucky to be out here in the open ocean, and we can provide feedback and real-time data, and we're measuring things like dissolved CO2 in the water, salinity, sea surface temperature, and from that they can calculate things like pH and ocean acidity, supporting science, which is very cool.
It's the first time in the evening we've been top open, really interacting with sea life. It's just beautiful. There you go.
So half across the Atlantic at the moment, and we're doing our bit for science and ocean health, getting this drifter buoy ready to be deployed. Go into the ocean along with the 1,200 other of its friends, and should be giving us data for about 2 years. Here we go.
Coming back to Newport for me personally is always very special because I grew up here, learned to sail here. Narragansett Bay is, in more ways than one, my home. It's also the home of 11th Hour Racing, the home of our team. It's really our home port, our base. So to do some training out of here this fall, 6 good weeks, is going to feel really good, really special, really lucky. Wake up in my own bed and go to work here in this beautiful part of the world every day.
So yeah, so these boats, these Iomoka 60s, are immensely powerful. They're immensely strong. They're lightweight, carbon fiber. They're real machines. They really, they're brutal to sail in rough weather. The pounding is crazy. The noise down below is like a drum, but they're just incredible boats to sail. So. To use a cliche, that's not a real good one for this, but at 11th Hour Racing, we put our money where our mouth is. So yes, we're racing a big Iomoka 60 boat around the world, but these guys are racing with a purpose. The crew, I say guys, it's guys and gals, it's a co-ed crew. They're great sailors, they're talented, they're very passionate about the ocean, they're passionate about sailing, but the hope is that we can create change. And we can add to the game. And the nice thing about having an organization like 11th Hour Racing behind this is that we can step outside the box and take chances and spend money to try to advance the sport and advance sustainability and advance the efforts. And you'll see here in the next video, after I go through the sustainability goals, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about us stepping out and grabbing the heavy end first and trying to do the lifting and make the changes. So the sustainability goals of this racing team, which are the same thing that all of us should have, are being advocates for the ocean and the lake, striving towards zero waste, eliminating using single-use plastics, which I don't think many people use single-use water bottles anymore, certainly not in the sailing world. Being water neutral. So often these boats end up in harbors where fresh water is a bit of a challenge. So just grabbing the hose and washing your boat down is really wasting water. So they try to be very careful about that. Being climate positive. We all know the issues of climate change. We can sit there and look at doom and gloom, but we like to look beyond the doom and gloom to what it's going to be like when we get a hold of it, when we get it corrected, when we get it better. And then we also want to create a positive social impact and leave that behind in our wake when we leave a community we've enhanced it in one way or another. So this next video is really pretty cool because this is building the new boat. So we're building a second boat here. The Hugo Boss we have right now is a training boat. We're building a second boat to be the actual entry into the ocean race. So it's an updated design and it's built with specific ergonomic purposes for the crew and the crew member and the cast on board, as well as all the science that we put out there and the information they bring back. You know, one of the things that most people aren't quite realizing is that the ocean research that happens in the world mainly happens near the coast because of the cost and expense of being offshore for long periods of time. So the real information that comes from the middle of the oceans comes from generally private vessels that are out there and are collecting either photographic data or some of the other scientific data that they have on different instruments on board, and then feeding that information back to science institutes. And that's what you saw in that last video, some of the stuff that they collect on 11th Hour Racing. So I'm going to play this video. It's a little bit long, but it's about building the boat. And you pay close attention at the end when the industrial engineer talks about, he seems quite surprised that the sustainability practice they're doing is actually saving them money.
It's great to be here at CDK and check on the progress of the new boat that we're affectionately referring to as 11-2. Sometimes we get caught up in the moment, sailing on 11-1, crossing an ocean, all this weather, all these storms, testing systems, and we forget that there's a boat being built here in Brittany, which is great. This is the hull of the boat here in CDK Port La Forêt. The deck is being constructed at CDK in Lorient. When this is done and the deck is done, they'll be moved to the room next door, and you'll see that along with some of the components that we've put our hands on, touched, feel, looked at today. All of that assembly will happen just next door, and the boat will launch actually at a travel lift just around the corner. So keeping it all local here in this part of the world.
We are going to be measuring every step of the build process to understand what the full environmental impacts of the build are. And so we have an intern student from the local university who is working with CDK on recovering that LCA data so that we can get it into the tool and understand what those impacts are. Here we've actually got the materials that are going back to the manufacturers. Maybe we can have a look through the yard and have a look around and see what's going on. But one thing we do notice, obviously there's a lot of plastic here, but they're reusing these bags, and when there's a hole out, when they peel that off and have to put another layer, a couple of layers of carbon down, they're recovering those bags. So we're already reducing a certain amount of waste here. Boat building at this stage is very waste intensive. Even the carbon can be recycled, however, and especially the pre-preg and some of even carbon offcuts can be sent back to the manufacturer. What we need to do is try and get that to a scale which is relevant and valuable enough for those carbon recyclers. And so with CDK, with the other manufacturers, with the Amoca class and other teams in the area, we're already having these discussions. How can we make this happen? This is one of the autoclaves where they basically put the whole final component and heat it up to a certain temperature, quite a high temperature. It's one of the most energy intensive processes of modern boat building. And so this is where electricity's consumption and where that electricity comes from has a huge impact. CDK is on a renewable energy tariff, which significantly reduces the overall impact of the company in the process. These are the smaller components that each one needs to be laid up, designed and laid up. And this specific one is the aft escape hatch. And so we, as a campaign, we've done 2 of these. One is the business as usual, this carbon piece, which was a component which was built here at CDK, and we've ordered another one from another company made out of flax. Flax is a material which doesn't have the same properties as carbon, but in some ways it can be comparable for certain components. So what we want to do is compare weight, cost, the environmental impacts, to understand where are the trade-offs And as we look at these components, where can we consider these alternative materials?
2 years ago we started really to have thinkings about how to reduce our impact in terms of waste and everything, and arrival of 11th hour contract boost this action we started 2 years ago, and now we are very well organized, I would say, to select and to recycle, I would say 90-95% of our garbage. 5 years ago we used to put everything in a hole, which is not the best way to do. One point I discovered, and honestly I didn't know it would be like that, is that the more sustainable we are and the less money we spend, which is a big surprise. We started, for example, a new attitude with our main provider of pre-preg, which is Rearick in Spain, and we try to initiate a new attitude with them, keeping all the card box, sending back to them, for them to reuse the card box, to send back pre-preg to us. That's in the move, that's happening. But one more time, it's something like 2,000 or 3,000 euros we will not have to spend during the year, which is little by little also. I think it's only important for the future. I'm 60 something now, then I'm quite at the end of my career. Then it's important to leave something for the future generation, for our child. One of the final goals also is to be more sustainable in the reality, not just in the paperwork and the dreams and whatever. It's real stuff. And for me, the important thing also is to have a new image for CDK, stating that this shipyard is concerned, is acting, and that the sustainability is very important for us. And I'm quite sure that the future, in the next years, customer will be sensible to that. I hope so.
So as you know, like I said, with 11th Hour Racing, we yes, we love to sail boats and we love to race hard. And Charlie and Mark are really talented sailors, and as we all are. But we're trying to, like I said, put our money where our mouth is. So I'd like to also say, you know, if you reach for the heavy end first, you'll find out that everybody else jumps in around the rest of the log and helps you carry it. Otherwise, everybody kind of stands around and waits for somebody else to grab that heavy end first. And the Schmidt family and 11th Hour Racing look to go out there and spend the energy and make the commitment to try to make an IMOCA 60 more efficient and all this stuff, and to establish what it takes to be sustainable. And then the other groups and teams and race teams look around and realize, well, hey, you know, that's working for them, and it's not costing us a heavier boat or a less strong boat or something like that. It's actually a better program all the way around. And then, as I say, you know, it's better for the future generations. So beyond the passion of sailing, beyond the joy of sailing, for me, is a responsibility to be true to the essence of the experience. And like I say, you know, when the sunfish sails and the wake disappears, folds into itself, and my footprints on the beach get washed over by the waves, and the tracks in the sand get covered by the wind and erased by the rain, we leave no trace. And we really need to be very focused on that in our lives of sailing. And 11th Hour Racing is here to support you on that, support you on those efforts, and back you up with them, and help just make it easier for all of us. Because if we do it right, then other sports will follow, other groups will follow, other generations will follow. So beyond the passion, we want to be true to the essence of the experience of sailing. We want to give to and share with the future generations. We want to exemplify good stewardship of our waters of the earth. We want to look beyond today for solutions to our environmental problems in a positive way. And we want to infuse a positive impact in our maritime community and make sure that we leave a great social imprint when we move on to the next generation. So thank you all very much for enjoying us today and being here and being a part of Yachtapalooza 2021. And like I said, hopefully this is the break in the storm. Calmer waters are on the way. if there are any questions. So there may be some questions online or whatever. We'll get back to answering those for you. So thank you very much.